All right, a little update on the Audi LS swap project. I got the car up in the air for now. It might move. The goal here is to have the entire car on jack stands, which it is, but I'm gonna get it positioned a little bit better in the garage. And then have it up off the floor and nice and level. So that way when I go to start cutting these frame rails out and doing them with chromoly tube, everything's nice and flush. And I was gonna take some measurements and make it like a jig to anchor into the concrete below, and it'll sit in some of these critical holes, and I'll have plates here that'll be anchored. So that way when I go to put the new frame tubing in for the front, it'll be nice and straight. The car won't be moving. Once I start cutting these frame rails out, I can get a really nice kind of poor man's frame jig by anchoring into the concrete, which is junk anyway. It's gonna get replaced next spring. So that'll suffice for locating everything. But trying to get rid of the frame rails, these box tubes, and replace them with chromoly tubing. And also using Jay's tubular subframe, I think, is the route I'm gonna go. It frees up quite a bit of room. The tubes are like 2 or 3 inches instead of these big stamped pieces, which will help because with the new engine setup, the new turbo setup on this LC9 block, I'm probably gonna need all the room I can get for plumbing, like exhaust, headers, downpipes, intercooler piping, cooling lines. It'll just make a lot cleaner setup, and whenever I have to work on the car, it'll be a lot easier. I know, like right now, if you're an Audi guy and you know, if you've ever had to take these axles off, it's just such a fucking pain in the ass, pardon my French, but I mean, you got to get around this guy, and it's just up in the wrong spot, kind of, you know. But with that new tubular subframe, it should be a lot nicer, easier to work on everything, which is important because I want to track this car. Ready to start taking out the false firewall here a while back. I'm going to finish the job and just trim all the rest of this out. It doesn't need to be there. And then also going to take the square section from the bottom of the false firewall out and make a plate that will attach to each side here and on the other side over there, and then hopefully bolt the steering rack into that plate instead, and this will all shift back. I'll have like a U-bent or a bent tube that braces it, and then I'll get another 2 inches of clearance right here, so I don't have to worry about the back of the motor hitting this. I can trim this out and have my new framing behind it, hopefully. The entire engine and transmission is going to get shifted back about 2 to 3 inches, I'm thinking. The limiting factor is the axle of these CV axles. These are going to get replaced with a drive shaft shop upgrade, but you still have to keep this angle of this axle within about 15 degrees or so. And then when the wheel turns on the front wheels, you know, there's one of these on the other end that's got to be within a certain range to work correctly. So about 3 inches is all I can shift this back. There's another guy, Hayden, that did an LS swap on an A6. Those have a lot more room, but he also shifted his back. So it's going to involve moving these mounts back on the new tubular subframe. These won't be here. They'll be back rearward about 3 inches. So that'll help me shift everything back. And then from there, once I have everything kind of tube framed out, I can go ahead and make the motor mounts for the LC9. I already have kind of like a hoop support from an A6 project that I bought, but I don't know if I'm going to reuse that. I think I want to make something a little bit cleaner. Right now I've been going through, taking off some of this heat shielding and cleaning things up a little. Just trying to get rid of some of these old harnesses and wires and hoses that I'm not going to need. Power steering, hydraulic power steering is getting deleted and replaced with electric power steering using a Toyota kit. But so all these hydraulic lines here, these are all going to go. They're going to get looped into the rack, and it'll just you know, it'll have an electric motor under the dash that does the power steering portion. So all that'll be gone, marked like kind of with some bright tape, brake lines and things. So when I start trimming out this, I don't hit these like a dumbass and forget. No, I'll be able to see them. They're a lot more visible. I'll probably just push this out all the way altogether. But I don't want to. I want to keep the factory brake lines. I don't want to mess with them. They're fine. I think everything's going to get boxed from this point here forward. So I'll box this in and make a mounting or a plate that I can slip the tube into, the 2-inch chromoly tube I'm planning on using. And then that'll probably bend down to the mounting point for the subframe and then back up and come up to the front here if I had to guess. I might make it straight and then do like a boss or a standoff, but we'll see. I might play with that. I'm gonna hopefully put all this into SolidWorks and model up what I want before I start cutting and fabricating. That way it's, you know, I don't make any stupid mistakes, which, you know, as I've gone throughout the years, it just helps to plan, spend extra time planning, you know, measure twice, cut once kind of thing. But having this gone, the turbo won't sit behind the motor. The old Audi motor here, the turbo sat up behind, the single turbo setup. On the LC9, it's gonna sit back too far. It's gonna be pretty close to this, so there won't be room for a turbo there. It'll probably be down on the sides here. I'm thinking, I haven't quite finished if I'm gonna do, or decided if I'm gonna do twin or single turbo. Kind of on the fence on that for now. I'm thinking one single with a crossover pipe that's gonna sit right here in front of the oil pan or something, kind of out of the way. That'll go, and then I'll have one down pipe, hopefully down the driver's side, but my current down pipe goes down the driver's side. My exhaust is all set up for that. So I'll probably try and reuse that and have the turbo like low on the driver's side here, like by the front bumper. But we'll see how much room I've got. The other guys, the other guy that swapped his B5, I think it's Mario Baloma. I probably am butchering the last name, but he's got a silver one. He's on YouTube, and I'll put a link to his channel below. But he was able to get the motor in. He didn't shift the transmission back or anything, but he's got really tight clearance issues. Like when the hood's down on his car, he had to like trim the grill like in like by the headlight area, and his headlights don't fit. And I'm trying to avoid some of that. I want to get at least a couple more inches put back, get the motor rearward at least another 2 inches or so, and that should help a lot. Another guy suggested for cooling system, because I'm trying to avoid putting the radiator in the trunk, he said either do a split radiator or a half core. I guess Civic guys, they have these like intercooler size, like 6-inch or 8-inch tall radiators, and they use a waterless coolant that conducts heat a lot better. It's a synthetic chemical, and they're able to use a lot smaller radiator core while keeping everything, you know, tidy. So we'll see. I might do that, or I might do radiator on the side here. And since this frame rail is going to be altered, I can fit whatever I want on the sides pretty much. Or maybe below. We'll see if those pulleys, the bumper kind of sticks out here, so maybe I can stuff it into the bumper. And then I won't be running this air-to-air intercooler. It's just going to be too small for the setup, so I'm going to do an air-to-water. And that should sit on this side roughly. There should be a tank, and then I'll have lines plumbed the back, probably with an ice chest for the cooling system, and then maybe also like methanol injection for if I'm driving around without ice in the box. But we'll see. I got a ton of fab work ahead of me, but it should be a nice little project, you know. Trying to keep it wide body. I've got the 10.5-inch rubber, these Pilot Super Sports all around, which I looking forward to running on to see how those do once I get the whole setup running. But yeah, this is an Outlaw RS4. The fenders are from an RS4 wagon, and it's about 2 inches or 3 inches wider per side, which lets me run a lot bigger tire, which I'm hoping should help. And then the other good thing, that iron V6 there, it is heavy, and I think based on the weight, I don't have all the accessories on this yet, but this one is an aluminum block V8, and it should end up being roughly 60 to 100 pounds lighter. And then I'm hoping ditching some of the things like ABS, power steering on the pump on the front, a couple other things. I should hopefully be at the same weight or even a little lighter, which could help with understeer and actually make it a nicer handling car because it won't be so front heavy. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm gonna be starting the fab work tomorrow, and I might do like a time-lapse video with that. If you guys have chassis building knowledge, or if you have any tips or things that you want to share with me about tube framing this out, or if you've done drag cars in the past and you got any tips, definitely put them in the comments below or message me on the channel. I could use all the help I can get. I've never hacked up the front of a car, but I figure as long as I get all the geometry back in the right spot, it should be okay chassis wise. But if you got something better, let me know, because right now I'm just planning on anchoring and making jigs and anchoring to the floor to get everything back in the same spot when I weld up the new stuff. Thanks. Subscribe to the channel, like this video. Appreciate you. Bye.